Hey guys, welcome to another evening with a spirited endeavor. Again, I'm Russ,
I'm Mark.
and tonight we're going to be going over what we feel are some really good starter entry level kind of whiskeys. Something for those people that are just looking to start their journey.
And we've got six on the table, but we're really going to be looking at four tonight. We brought a couple out just so we can maybe do some comparison notes with a couple of the ones that we've tried in the recent past. I mean, go back and check some of our other shows. But tonight we're going to do the Chivas Regal. We're going to do the Monkey Shoulder, Glenmorangie 10-year, and then the GlenDronach 12-year.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got two blends and then two single malts.
Yeah.
I think we chose these because they were, very accessible. They're easy, they're good entry level. They're going to give you something a little different. They're going to have the tasting notes, but not anything that's going to really drive folks away or be, as controversial maybe
Right.
as like one of the heavy peated smoky scotches.
Yeah, and I mean, none of these is boring. We didn't want to pick something that was going to be dull to you, but on the other hand, we didn't want to pick something that was really heavy-handed with any particular notes. So there isn't anything here that's overly spicy or overly smoky or peaty. They're just a good, well-rounded whiskey in general. Yeah, this will be an interesting show. I'm really curious about the Chivas specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We haven't tried this one. We chose it because we were looking at lists of like kind of entry level scotches, and this one was always rated fairly high.
Yeah.
It's not very expensive, but it's it's sort of comparable to like the Johnny Walker Black in the price points on it.
Yeah. And that's another point. Every one of these is below the $45 mark. Some more so than others.
Yeah, except for the GlenDronach. That one,
Yeah,
that one was a little
higher.
pricier. But everything else is sort of below $40.
Yeah. But I think any one of them will likely make a good entry, and we'll talk about why we feel that with each one of them as well as we go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. What was really interesting is before we go on camera, we always try something to kind of prime the pump, so to speak, and tonight what we did is we were just reaching for one, and it was interesting that we chose the Naked Grouse.
Both of us chose the same one.
We chose the same one, and that was really interesting to me. That's one that we tried. We didn't have a lot of expectations going into that one, and that one just blew our socks off.
And it's a blend.
That's the
thing.
I know.
We've been really focusing on the single malt specifically, and then I remember when we tried that blended malt, I think it blew both of us away. We were talking earlier before the episode. There's two whiskeys that Mark picked up and that we've sampled as part of this whole experience that I then immediately went and bought my own because I didn't want to mooch off of Mark. I liked him that much. And that's both the Naked Grouse, which is this one, and again, that's a blended malt, and then the GlenDronach, which is a single malt.
The Glenmorangie.
Or Glenmorangie, I'm sorry. Yeah, two Glens sitting side by side.
Exactly.
Totally confusing. But both of those really grabbed my attention, and both of them are very, they're easy to find, and they're reasonably priced, and just enjoyable.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about all of these is that they have those butterscotch notes and toffee notes, and they're kind of bready, and they really have that. They're not overly fruity, they're not overly peaty, they're not overly smoky. There may be little elements of that in there, but these are all pretty tame, but they're all complex too. We haven't tried the Chivas yet, so I can't really comment on that one. But all the rest of them, have those really interesting notes, and you can really use them to kind of train your palate.
Oh, absolutely. The more time you spend with one, sampling it over time, the more you're going to pick up. The first time you try one, again, your palate's going to be so overwhelmed. A lot of times it's going to be the alcohol numbs the tongue, that sort of thing. But as you acclimate to them and start picking up different flavors, these are going to grow with you. And you're going to keep picking up those different ones. You're not going to get bored with it all that quickly.
Yeah, so we're really excited about these. All right, so the first one we're going to start tonight is the Chivas Regal. So let me give you the specs on this one. It's 12-year. It's blended, 40% alcohol by volume. about $35 a bottle. It's a space side, which is kind of interesting. And so the Chivas Regal is a blended Scotch whiskey produced by the Chivas brothers, and it was the distillery was founded in 1786, and it's home. Yeah, sorry. It's the oldest continuous operating Highland distillery.
Wow.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I had no idea about that. That was awesome. So the nose on it is aromas of wild herbs, heather, honey, orchard fruits, apples, pears, that kind of thing. And the palate is going to be warm notes of apple, hazelnut, butterscotch, and long and lingering finish. So this one may be a little fruitier than we.
Yeah, it should be a lighter Scotch than what we've been trying lately.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sarah, we're just going to get into this. We got a few to get through tonight. I'm just going to cork.
Huh? That's handy.
Yeah. No corks to get in the way.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any notes of whether this was, whether it was chill filtered or the color was natural or not. But
most cases with a blended whiskey like this, where it's got the grain and the single malt, pretty much every one of them, you're going to find that they are both colored and chill filtered. The coloring's more for consistency. When you're dealing with mixing of somebody else's product in this similar grain types, they'll usually add color just to get a consistent appearance.
Okay.
That nose.
Oh.
For a blended Scotch, that is one hell of a nose.
Yeah.
So
that's a
single malts are known for their nose generally, as are blended malts. Both of them that we have up there have a good nose. But you get into blended Scotches, and usually they've been a letdown. Like the Johnny Walker Black, the nose wasn't especially strong on that. None of the ones that we've done so far really have been.
Not terrible in any regard.
No, but it just the nose as far as having some sort of powerful.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up the butterscotch, hazelnut.
Yeah.
A little bit of fruit in that, but not crazy.
This almost reminds me on the nose of a Glenlivet.
Really?
Which is surprising, since Glenlivet's a single malt and one of the probably better known single malts for that matter.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's a pleasant surprise.
All right, to drinking.
Yeah, cheers.
That is very smooth. I'm not really getting a big alcohol burn on that.
No.
I'm not picking up a lot of complex flavors.
No, really not. But again, blended with some grains, you kind of expect that with something, especially in that price range. But
yeah,
that's pleasant though.
Yeah, I'm getting those butterscotch notes.
Absolutely.
I'm getting that that nuttiness to it.
Yeah.
Not picking up a lot of fruit in that.
It seems like it's primarily composed of Highlands, I would say, because you're getting a lot of the tasting notes that you typically see with a Highland.
Yeah. That's a long and lingering finish on that one. You know what? I'm picking up the apple on the back end.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about this is not heavy. It's very crisp, light. This is a nice sipper for a warm night. And this is a blend that I would not hesitate to drink neat. I think with ice would probably be fine, although I don't know how well the flavors would hold up, but I think it'd probably do okay.
Yeah, probably do it right. I would think that this would do well as a mixer.
I agree.
Because it's not bringing anything heavy to the party there. It's just it's going to linger in the background, probably pair well with fruit.
Yeah, you get certain ones where they're really heavy on the smoke or they're really heavy on the spice or something like that. You know that if you dilute it a little bit with ice or water, you're still going to get some of those notes. This one doesn't have any one note that really stands out strong enough to where you feel confident that this is going to hold up with water for that matter.
Yeah.
But now for a mixed drink, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing here that's going to throw you off.
No, for sure. I mean, this would be great in a Godfather. This would be great in a whiskey sour.
I like that though.
I didn't expect much out of that.
No, I agree.
I could see you sitting back with a, with a dram of that
Yeah,
on a chilly night.
I think the Johnny Walker Black is a little bit of a different animal. There's a little bit more smoke to it than there is with this. I wouldn't put one above the other. I'd say they're both equal, but they're different. They approach it differently. This one focuses more on the sweet and bready, and I think with the Johnny Black, you get more of the spice and a little bit of smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not unpleasant.
No,
Okay, let's cleanse the glass here.
that may be a good option if you're at a bar. I'll bet that's something a lot of bars would have. I haven't looked because not one that I've really dealt with in the past, but I'd be curious to see what the availability is.
Probably
at
pretty
some of the
available.
bars. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. We looked around a little bit today to find a bottle that was a little harder to find.
Yeah.
That's just sort of becoming the norm with Scotch in general. I've been hitting some of my favorite haunts around the area, and the selection is starting to get a little slim in some cases. And certainly the more notable brands or the more name brands seem to be taking the biggest hits right now.
Well, I went looking for a replacement for my Lagavulin 16, and I could find the 9 and a couple other ones in the Game of Thrones edition. They did not have the 16.
All right.
I was like, that sucks. I'll have to snoop around some more.
All right. So that's the Chivas Regal. All right. Now the second one here that we're gonna do tonight we've done before. It's the Monkey Shoulder. I did it with my brother and my stepdad, and that was a nice surprise. Now the first time we tried that, I wasn't real impressed with it, but on the second pouring, once we got past the neck pour, it changed the flavor on that completely. It really mellowed it out, excuse me. So let me give you the specs on that. So it's distilled at the William Grant Distillery, is located in Dufton, Speyside. It's unpeated. It's a blend. It's the original batching on that was from 27 casks, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then when we found out later, like the Johnny Walker is like 40. So I thought that was pretty impressive. But but certainly 27 is that's a lot of blending.
That is a bunch.
Okay, each of the distilleries use there's 3 distilleries that for this one, and all of them use ex-bourbon casks. I should probably have a little more whiskey. It's 43% alcohol by volume. Costs them just about $30. And it's known for the vanilla orange citrus feel. And if I remember those notes and everything, it really does have a citrusy kind of taste to it. A lot of the butterscotch notes and toffee notes, but citrus certainly on the front end.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how that compares to the Chivas. All right. And again, it's fairly clean to the glass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got some pretty good cling to it. Not one of the stronger ones. The oils aren't super present, but
but we think it's chill filtered.
Yeah.
And again, it has a very light nose to it. I'm certainly picking up the citrus in that.
I agree.
And it also has sort of that breadiness to it. Little toffee notes in there.
Yeah, almost like a cookie.
Almost
That's
like a
what
cookie.
that's what's kind of reminding me of.
Yeah, like a lemon drop.
Yeah, exactly.
Cookie. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay, and again, I get that upfront alcohol burn to it. It's not unpleasant. It's not overpowering. And on the back end is kind of where I'm picking up the flavors on
I'm
that.
getting the citrus. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
On the back end, definitely getting the citrus. Front end, it's a little tame in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I get it more on the back of the palate.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting that burn kind of in the middle of the palate, and then just on the back end, you really get that citrus punch to it. Sorry, we're being invaded by the military here.
Black helicopters.
They're not going to be coming after our scotch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hmm.
I will say, compared to my first tasting of it, I like it more this time.
Yeah, I do too.
But having had it next to the Naked Grouse, I
Yeah,
think that's a bit problematic.
yeah, I think so.
The
Now-
Naked Grouse really sets the bar high.
It really does. I mean, and the Naked Grouse being like a $30, $35 bottle, I would just reach for that before I reach for the Monkey Shoulder.
They're both in a similar price range. They're both blended malts, but they handle it very differently as far as their flavors are concerned. Now, I will say the citrus note of the Monkey Shoulder is nice.
It is.
But I prefer what the Naked Grouse brings to the table, personally.
I would. That would be the first one I would choose if I were doing a whiskey sour.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Add some bitters in that. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'd bump up my my review on the Monkey Shoulder compared to the first one.
Yeah. I don't think we rated. Excuse me. I don't think we rated that one
No.
real high.
No, I think my opinion was fairly low at that point. But we were, again, neck pour. This has had a little opportunity to air out.
And it really is amazing that once you get past the neck pour and get into the bottle, the flavors really do change.
Yeah.
And sometimes they mellow out. Sometimes it'll bring in additional notes. But it's amazing what the difference of when you do the pour can make.
Well, and the same thing happens in the glass too. As you let it sit in the glass, you pour. Let's say you've got something that's especially strong. Pour it in the glass. Let the glass sit for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, while you go do something else. During that period of time, some of the vapors are coming out of there, so you don't get that harshness, and then oxygen is working on it. So by the time you come back, it tastes a little bit different than had you just poured it and had it straight out of the bottle.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Okay, very good. Okay, so the next one we're going to jump into our single malts. So the Glenmorangie. So it's a 10-year. I think I actually put it. I typoed it on the announcement here. So it's a single malt. It's 40% alcohol by volume. Cost on is about $35, $40, depending on where you get it. And apparently
They're back.
the National Guard is back. All right, so it's matured in a combination of first and second fill American white oak casks. It's a Highland. The color on it is natural, and I don't know if it's chill filtered. I don't believe it is.
Yeah, I don't recall on
All
that
right.
one either.
The Glenmorangie Distillery was established in 1843 by the brothers William and John Matheson, and the site originally held a farm distillery was named Morangie. There's evidence that this distillation was carried out on the site in the early 18th century, and the production began in 1849. During the latter part of the 19th century, the Glenmorangie began overseas explorations in destinations including Europe and the United States. Now my Glenmorangie story is this. I was watching the movie Highlander.
Classic.
And Connor McLeod's, and when he goes up to the bar, he asks for a Glenmorangie. And I had, at that point, I was a kid, didn't understand what it was and everything. But I had recently rewatched that movie, and I said Glenmorangie. I said, you know what? I better go try this. If it's good enough for Connor McLeod,
sure.
the Highlander movie, I mean,
I haven't seen that in a while, so
Yeah, I
I
know.
never watched that again.
yeah, for sure. And it's funny to have a French Highlander,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. But Glenmorangie, and it was one of those ones where we tried it, and again, I didn't expect a lot out of it. and it blew our socks off.
Yeah, especially when you can get those things in big, tremendous
Big,
bottles. I
huge
mean,
bottles.
they're massive, and it's really reasonably priced.
Exactly. So, you're thinking, because something's, inexpensive, that it may not be good,
Right.
or, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
As we're finding out, and some of the scotch that we're finding that's kind of in that lower price point and everything, some of it's damn tasty.
Oh, this is the one I've been wearing out lately, and that's $37. And then the Glenmo's, similar price wise, I think it was 30s, low 40s maybe.
Yeah.
And then these two as well. I mean, everything here is pretty reasonably priced. And yet they bring something to the table, no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So definitely a light color.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of cling to the glass. So I'm thinking that's probably chill filter.
I would guess. But it doesn't look like there's been color added. That looks like natural color.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like a lemon juice colored.
Which is appropriate for something that's just been aged in oak from bourbon.
Absolutely. So it doesn't have those sherry influences.
Right.
And bringing in that deeper color, and it shouldn't have those winey notes like sherry can bring to the table. Yeah, I do not smell any fruit in that. That's all butterscotch. Yeah. That's all toffee, bread.
Yeah. No, that's probably one of the breadier, just sweeter scotches we've had.
Yeah, it's sweet. It really does have that like caramel, butterscotch, feel nose to it.
It's a really good representation of a Highland.
It really is.
It takes everything that Highlands generally offer and just seems to kick it up a notch.
Now I've got a Glenmorangie 15-year that we're gonna have to break into.
Ooh,
we haven't broke, and I'm really curious to see how that stacks up against the 12.
Yeah.
And what that mellowing, the extra age brings to the flavors.
Absolutely.
And brings those flavors for us. Mm. Mm. Oh,
butterscotch right off the bat.
Butterscotch.
Smooth.
Yeah.
I'll say, on the nose, you seem to pick up a little bit of ethanol, at least I do. But on the taste, none of that.
None of it.
None.
It really has a very satisfying mouthfeel.
Oh, man.
It is smooth, smooth, smooth.
Yep.
If you're talking about a smooth scotch, you want something that's not, that doesn't feel like, has that medicine quality, that iodine quality.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah, no smoke to speak of, but nice and sweet, bready, just nice, pleasant.
Yeah, this is one that you just want to. It's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You had a tough day at work and everything. You just want to sit back with a nice, pleasant dram. That would be one I'd grab for.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's exceptionally complex. No, I wouldn't say it's complex, but it's pleasant, man. It is a good drinking whiskey.
Yeah, what I'm not getting on it is a lot of herbs. I'm not getting the spice in it. I'm
Even
not getting
the barrel. You don't really get any of that oak influence, which
No,
is
not
surprising.
really. It's smooth. It's buttery.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah, if you're new to Scotch in general, that's a good call right there. A lot of what puts people off when it comes to Scotch is that smoke. People really don't particularly care for the smoke because it's not predominant in a lot of the American whiskeys. This one, you're not going to get that. You're going to get that sweet, man. That is just tasty.
Yeah, you're not picking up the peat in it. You're not picking up the smoke. I mean, you're not getting those. You're not really getting anything complex in this either. But it really does have a nice, satisfying, candy quality to it. It's sweet. It's buttery.
And I'm definitely starting to get a little bit of the fruit now. More on the exhale. Not on the palate so much.
So the nose, they say it's very fruity and thick.
Yeah.
Notes of lemon, nectarine, and apples, spices, but I'm not getting that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really getting the buttery toffee.
Mm-hmm.
The palate, fresh and balanced, vanilla, boiled sweets, very creamy, tiramisu coffee. And I'm kind of getting a little bit of that.
Yeah.
It really does have maybe some coffee notes to it. And then the finish is quite long, gentle, malty, very fruity. But I'm not picking up the fruit.
I'm getting a little bit, like I say, after I've swallowed it, if I exhale through my nose, I can catch it at that point, but it's not a taste, it's a smell.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not getting it taste-wise on the palate.
If I were to like try to pick a fruit in that, maybe it would be something really light, like a pear, or like an apple, but not like a Granny Smith, but just like just a real apple, but just something very mild.
Yeah. Man, I forgot how much I like that.
I really like that one too.
I haven't had that in a few months, and it's just as good as I remember.
Yeah, and now that the air's gotten to it a little bit too, it's even mellowed it out even a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that one.
Yeah, I think when my bottle was fresh and I got that first neck pour, there was a little bit more burn to it. That's mellowed out significantly, and that's just nice.
Yeah, no, I'm really digging that one. Well, that's been a favorite since we've tried it.
And that's saying something, because we tried that one pretty early on, and to this day we still enjoy it.
I know.
We've had other ones that we tried early on, and at this point we're like, meh. That one still holds up.
Exactly. As we tried more and more of these things, it really does. There really is a spectrum out there, and and what's funny is some of the ones I didn't expect to like, I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
The Lagavulin, even the Ardbegs, anything that's really,
You
spicy.
like character.
I really do.
Yep.
I'm really looking for that in a whiskey. But even this, which is more mellow, seems to bring some nice character to the flavor. I don't even know if I would blend that with anything.
No, to me, that's not one that I would. That's not a special occasion whiskey to me. That's
like
you're after work, you just want to settle down, chill out outside like we're doing, and you want to sip a little scotch. That is perfect for it. It's not going to challenge you.
Absolutely. I could see maybe in the colder months, with a fire, nice dram of Glenmorangie, and just sitting back and having a very nice, pleasant night.
Yep.
All right. That's awesome. Okay. The last one up tonight is the GlenDronach. Now, the GlenDronach is a 12-year. It's a single malt, 43% alcohol by volume. Costs under about $35 a bottle. The finish is sherry cask. It's a Highland. It's natural color, non-chill filtered. And the details on this is the quintessential single malt. It won a gold medal in the 2017 San Francisco World Spirits Competition and the World Whiskey Awards. It's award-winning whiskey. The distillery resides in the Highlands, busily working away on incredible expressions, with sherry malt sitting at the core of many of them. This one in particular is a combination of Oloroso sherry and Pedro Jimenez casks from Spain. The nose on it is sweet, creamy vanilla, hints of ginger, spices, mulled wine, pear, fruity. The palate, warm, rich oak, sherry sweetness, full mouthfeel, raisins, soft fruits. So I'm expecting this one to be overly fruity.
Yes, it really is.
All right, and then the finish on it, long, spicy, full of nutty, dry finish. So, really, really excited to try this one. Now, you've been raving about this one for a little bit. And this is my first time with it.
Yeah. So Macallan was my first sherry cask, real sherry bomb sort of thing. So when you age scotch in sherry casks, it brings in those fruity notes and a little bit more sweetness, different than what you get with vanilla and whatnot. And Macallan was my first. The GlenDronach was my second, and I will say I've moved on to the GlenDronach. I find it to be a very easy sipper, but I will say it's going to be very fruity, very sweet. So that has to be something that appeals to you, because otherwise you're not going to like this.
All right, not a lot of cling to the glass.
No. Now the color is natural, and you expect it with sherry casks. You're going to have a darker color than you would otherwise, because again, that sherry does impart a significant amount of more of a reddish tinge to it. So this one's still almost amber.
Yeah, it's a light amber color. It's a beautiful looking whiskey, and Well, actually, I haven't found one that wasn't
Oh,
beautiful.
Tell me what you think of the smell on that one.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm definitely picking up the vanilla. I'm picking up the some fruit in that, spices, mulled wine. Oh.
Yeah.
My.
This is a combination of scotch and wine, if you ask me. And I'm not a wine drinker, but this just works.
It really does have those sherry influences that really give it that fruitiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really pick that up in the nose.
Yeah, it's, as far as aroma is concerned, it really is. It's impressive. It's pretty amazing. Even for somebody that's not a scotch or whiskey drinker, the smell that you get off of this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, $35 a bottle. And not bad.
No, not at all. Mm.
Wow. Very different.
Yep.
Spicy. Right up front, right in your face.
Yeah.
A lot of fruitiness. I'm really picking up that ginger. I'm really picking up those heavy spice notes. This is amazing.
This is why I keep some in my house.
Holy cow! I had no idea.
Yeah. No, this is
very different from than anything we drank tonight.
Yeah.
But also very different than most things that we've drank. Period.
And this is one where I won't drink it every night. This is one where on occasion you just want something a little different that's not harsh, but just nice.
Spicy.
Yeah.
I mean, just spicy.
Mm.
That brings a lot of complexity to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking up the fruit again.
Wait till you try the Macallan and compare the two. I'll be curious to get your take, but I found this blows the Macallan out of the water.
Okay. Yeah. This is impressive.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot all the way through the mouthfeel. So you're getting the fruitiness, the spiciness right up front, but it carries it through, and you really get that those vanilla notes, and that as you make the way back to your palate. And on the back end, I mean, I'm picking up fruit again.
Yeah. So it's a really cool one. It's not smoky. It's not something that's going to blow you out of the water with smoke. It is spicy, but it's not spicy to the point where it's just overpowering. But I will say, the one thing that you're going to get is that fruit note.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't hide that at all.
No, and then really on the back end of that, I mean, it really has a dry finish to it, but somehow it's still satisfying.
It's got good mouthfeel, though.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's oilier than I thought it would be.
Yeah. And that's the big difference I found between it and the Macallan. I thought the Macallan was thin. That was my big complaint with the Macallan, was I thought it was a little too thin, a little too dry, and this has that oily nature to it that I think helps.
Yeah, and then again on the back end, it's really, really dry. I don't know if that's my favorite thing about it, but certainly that upfront punch that you get with the fruit and the spice, I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. Not something I'd drink every day, but it's something that's nice to pull out on occasion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to challenge yourself without having something that's really heavily peated or smoky, that's a good direction to go. We were talking earlier about this group. That would be one of the more challenging bottles for somebody out of what we have lined up here, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Now, most of the other ones that we've tried tonight, and sort of the Naked Grouse off camera, these are all, pretty decent entry level scotches. They're very accessible. The flavor combinations on them are pretty. They're across the board, but I mean they're all kind of there's nothing crazy going on in there. You're not picking up the peat. You're not picking up the smoke. You're not picking up the things that really drive again controversial.
Every one of these is a good representative of Scotch in general. The GlenDronach, again, being probably the more problematic, just because maybe it's not your thing. But all of these are a good representation of what Scotland brings to the table compared to a bourbon or something like that. And look, that's the beauty of Scotch. That's one of the reasons that we focused on Scotch, is because they may all be single malts. These are all single malts. None of them taste the same. Every one of these is completely different, and that's because of what makes Scotch. And we'll talk about that. That's going to be the next episode.
Our very next episode.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of Scotch, is you can buy 3 different Scotches and they taste completely different. So what we've done here is we've picked a selection of Scotch whiskeys that we think would be a good fit for you, as far as not anything that's going to be off-putting, but it's going to expose you to what Scotch has to offer and kind of give you a little complexity without, again, smacking you upside the head with it.
For sure. I would certainly start off with, if I was, starting off, and you're trying to figure out what your palate is and everything, I would certainly start with some of the blends.
Mm-hmm.
The Chivas, that was nice. The Naked Grouse is just one of our favorites. It's very accessible. I would certainly start with those, and then maybe work your way up with the Glenmorangie. The Glenmorangie is very, very accessible.
Yes, it is.
It is very nice. It's mellow. It's one of my favorites. And again, it's not even very expensive.
No, it's not overly complex, but it's a nice, easy sipping Scotch.
Okay. All right. So I see Russ poured the Jura. So it'll be interesting to check this one out after we've tried the GlenDronach and the Glenmorangie. So this is the one that he challenged me with last week when we did our mystery adventure.
Which we're gonna have to do that again.
That was so much fun.
I had so much fun with that.
That was so much fun.
Completely different than the others.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm picking up the peat in that. Especially after going through these, now I'm really seeing that peat in there. I'm picking up a little bit of smoke. In the Jura, and I love this one because it's an island Scotch. It's not. It's kind of its own little thing.
It really is. It's what I like about it is that it offers you what you generally get out of the islands, like Isla and stuff like that. But again, it's really subtle. It's not knocking you upside the head with it, and there's other notes to it. It's got sherry influence from like a GlenDronach, but you get a little bit of the honey influence from the Glenmo. To me, that's pretty well-rounded Scotch for the price. But it's interesting to taste it having gone through this lineup, because none of these is very smoky.
No, for sure.
And generally speaking, last time you wouldn't have picked up much smoke on this.
I don't think we picked up much smoke on it.
Yeah.
And especially after doing the A-Knot cutter,
right?
Which was which was very smoky, very peaty, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was trying to compare the two of them was crazy. But now putting this up against these, I'm really picking up that peatiness, that smokiness.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh man, that's just pleasant.
Yeah, these are all good whiskeys, good Scotch.
Yeah, and that one's peatier than these.
Yeah, by all means.
You definitely pick up the peat influences in that. You get that earthiness, and that's an exciting Scotch.
Yeah, and the reason that I bring that one to the table, and the reason I thought it was important to pour that one now, is it's a good point. If you've had Scotch and you don't know if you're into peated whiskeys or a smokier whiskey, this is not really abrupt as far as the peat or smoke is concerned, but it's there. And it's a good way to see what your palate thinks of without just blowing everything else out of the water.
Yeah, I agree. That's an entry level. That's an entry level toward the peated Scotch.
Absolutely. You want to expand your horizons. You want to see what you think of peat. That's a good direction to go.
Yeah, and it's not enough that's going to knock your socks off, but it will certainly get you tasting those notes in it, and that's pretty awesome.
Might get you hooked on peat.
It might.
It certainly happened to me.
And to me too. I'm certainly. I've come around on peat. I've come around on smoke. I love that barbecuiness.
Yeah.
That we get with some of those whiskeys. And
good batch of whiskeys tonight.
Yeah, really, really and truly. Okay. All right. We've got a scale. We've got
So of these, if you had somebody who's just coming into Scotch whiskey, which one of these would you hand them?
Glenmorangie, hands down.
I think I'd have to agree.
Yeah, Glenmorangie it's accessible. It's there's nothing off-putting about it.
Yeah.
It's smooth. It's kind of what you really, if you were looking for like a quintessential Scotch, like a quintessential entry-level Scotch. Let me back that up. That's probably the one I would start with.
I agree. Somebody who's a bourbon drinker, I think, could find some things about that they enjoy right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not going to challenge them too much, and it's definitely going to introduce them to what Scotch has to offer.
Yeah. Now we've been starting a lot of our episodes off with drinking a bottle of rye that my buddy Scott Cunningham gave to me, and I said this before. I really regret not sharing this with him while he was here. Scott, if you're listening, we're gonna do that one again next time we get together. But that rye whiskey really unlocked a lot for me.
I was impressed by that.
Between Scotch and rye. Mm-hmm. I'm really curious to see, and we're going to do this in an upcoming show. We're going to take a look at rye. We're going to take a look at bourbon. We're going to take a look at Scotch, and maybe do like one of each, and just to see kind of what's the difference between all of those.
Yeah, it's that will be an interesting journey by itself, because like we've discussed, you can buy 3 single malts and get completely different experiences. And same thing, I'm sure, applies to rye as well as other types. So that's going to be a fun journey.
Yeah, I agree.
That's going to be a really fun journey. And as Scotch becomes more difficult to find, that may be a direction that we pursue as well. We don't know where this is going to go. Right now, there's some taxation issues going on. There's some tariffs being applied against Scotch from Scotland. I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to get overly political. But at this point in time, I think it's like a 25% tax that's been added on top of Scotch.
Yeah, I've noticed that the prices have gone up a little bit on some of our favorites. And some of them are getting harder to find. We've mentioned that before. So, there's still plenty out there, but some of the more name brands and everything are starting to become a little scarce.
And I think what you're going to find in a lot of cases is that as a lot of package stores or stores in general go through their old inventory and they replenish it with new, well, when they're buying that new stuff, they're buying it at 25% increase. So you're going to start seeing those prices go up as they cycle through their inventory.
Yeah, for sure.
And look, at the end of the day, I love Scotch and I'm going to drink it. I'll pay what I've got to pay for some of my favorites. It is what it is. But, to try and bring somebody into this when there's a 25% bump, it's kind of tough to do.
Absolutely. So you want to, there may be ones that, hopefully you're picking up from us, what might be a good entry level for you. If you got favorites, that's great. We certainly want to hear about that. Absolutely. We want to hear what you guys think, what you guys are drinking. Drop us a note on our page. We're always happy to hook up with fellow Scotch enthusiasts and figure out what you guys are looking at and what you guys are drinking. We want to, especially if you could turn us on to something new. I mean, we're all for that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's do our.
Okay. So for the Chivas, I'm gonna go 2.5 on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 2.5 on that one also. Maybe a 2. It's certainly it's interesting. It brings something to the table.
Yeah.
But I think I'm beyond it.
I agree, and that's a really good way of putting it. It's a perfectly fine whiskey. It's actually a very good whiskey. The problem is my expectations now are beyond what it can offer. If I had a friend come over and they weren't a Scotch drinker, I'd be perfectly comfortable giving that to them. But is it something that I would grab off the shelf in my house and sip on a regular basis? Absolutely not.
No, we've got a problem because we still got to get through that bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. We'll figure that one out. Okay. Monkey Shoulder.
All right. So here's where I run into a problem. I'm going to have to bump the Chivas down to a 2.
Yep.
And the Monkey Shoulder, I think I'm going to go I'll go with 3 with the Monkey Shoulder. which
Yeah.
is a big bump from what I originally offered it.
It really and truly is. I think I bumped that one a little higher the last time I tried it.
Yeah.
And again, that's one that um, that baffles me a little bit because every time I try it, I find something different with it, and certainly trying it with different types of scotches really really changes my opinion of it.
Absolutely.
And I think I bumped it up to like a 3.5 the last time I tried that, and I think I'm going to bring it back down to a 3.
I think that's fair, especially with what's coming next. For me, Monkey Shoulder, it depends on my mood. If I'm in the mood for something citrus, Monkey Shoulder is perfect because it's the one in the batch that really offers that in a way that's accessible.
Yeah.
But it's not something I would generally grab for over some of these other ones.
Yeah, agreed. And it's funny, you know, and I mentioned this earlier, but if I'm just reaching for a bottle just to have just a dram, I mean, more often than not, it's been the Naked Grouse.
And I will say, if you can find Naked Grouse, buy it.
Buy it.
It's friggin' amazing, and it's reasonably priced. I bought it for mid to high 30s last time I picked that one up.
I mean, that's a good solid 4 for me.
Yeah, I agree. That one's actually getting bumped up. That one is a solid 4. So that kind of puts it in perspective where the Monkey Shoulder is. And again, that's taste. Perhaps you like the citrus notes more, stick with the Monkey Shoulder. But if you want more of it's got a tiniest little bit of smoke. It's got Highland Park in it, which is a favorite of both of ours. And then it's got Macallan in it, which is a sherry bomb similar to this. It's really cool.
It really is.
Great combination. They're friggin' geniuses for coming up with it. And I will continue to buy it as long as they offer it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, four solid. Because I would not only want it in my bar, but I would want to share it with friends.
And that's 4 for a blend.
I know.
And that's us comparing it to single malts.
For sure.
So that should speak volumes for a blended scotch or blended malt. That is fantastic.
Yeah, and if you're looking for an entry level, I mean, that's very accessible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Glenmorangie.
So, in this context, this is a bit problematic. I enjoy Glenmo. And as far as if I was to pick a single malt to offer to somebody new, Glenmo would be the top on my list without hesitation. Is it the first thing I'm going to grab out of my bar?
Oh, that's a good
If
point.
I put it up against what I normally drink, it doesn't hold up as well. I enjoy it, but does it give me the complexity? Is it something I grab for on a regular basis? I have to say no. While I enjoy it, unfortunately, my palate and my expectations for complexity go beyond that now. So while early on, I would have told you that is amazing because I was new to Scotch and holy crap, that is approachable. At this point, I don't know. That said, I'm going to go with a 3 on it. I was kind of debating on a 3.5, but I'm going to go with a 3 on it. And that's not by any means bad. It's a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
But it is by no means on the same level. It's not even approaching some of the other stuff we put at a level 4.
For sure. Now, I'm thinking that it's a very good everyday scotch.
Absolutely.
You know, like I said, if it's a Tuesday and you had a tough day and you just want to kick back and unwind a little bit, I mean, I think that's a very approachable scotch.
Yeah.
I would put it as a 3.5, just because it would, you know, it's something that I would go back to.
Yeah.
It's not something that's going to collect dust in my bar. I mean, it's something I'm going
absolutely.
I'm going to grab on on a not special occasion.
Well, we both own it. There are two whiskeys here, actually 3 whiskeys here we both own.
That is true.
That should say all you need to know, really.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So 3.5 for the Glenmorangie, 3 from Russ. All right. So the GlenDronach.
So that for me, if I'm in the mood for a sherry type scotch, that's the one I go for. Every time it's beat out all the other ones that I've tried at this point. That one I will go with a 3.5, and I'm bordering on a 4. I think I've done a 4 in the past.
I'm going to go with a 3 on that
Mhm.
one. I think it's a good, solid Scotch. I like the sherry influences to it and everything. I don't think it's very satisfying on the back end.
I agree.
It's dry, and that's not something I really enjoy in a Scotch. Um, I would love it if it had a little bit of peat to it. I
I
would
agree.
love it if it had some of those notes to it.
That's why we like that.
That's why
so
we like the
much.
naked grouse so
Yeah,
much.
You're absolutely right.
So I think it's a 3.
I could see that. Like I said, there are times when I really want something that's heavily sherry influenced, and so far that's the best one I found. But as far as an all-around Scotch is concerned, yeah, you're missing some of the key elements that we particularly enjoy.
Absolutely. All right. So then
And we've done the Jura in the past. I don't know that we necessarily have to revisit it.
I don't think so.
It's just there for comparison purposes. But really, at the end of the day, I would say you're pretty safe buying any one of these. If anything, I would probably pull this one just because, again, it's a bit lopsided. You really have to like sherry cask to go with that one. But the rest of them, none of these will offend you. Every one of these would be a perfect example of a good beginner's Scotch. Something to enter with.
And again, if I had to choose any one of these, it would be the naked grouse.
I agree. And if it's me personally grabbing one, the two that I grab more often than not is the naked grouse and the Jura.
The Jura, yeah.
That one, for whatever reason, has just struck a nerve with me. And
Yeah.
those two, that's no joke. That's what I've been sipping more than anything lately.
All right, fabulous. Okay, well, next week we're going to actually dive into Scotch.
Yeah.
Just in general, we're going to sit back with I think Russ is going to bring a bottle to the table. I'm going to bring a bottle to the table. We're going to just talk about Scotch.
Yep.
And what makes it different than rye or bourbon or any of the other whiskeys out there. And we're really excited to bring that one to to everybody.
And we'll talk a lot about the terms that we use, the difference between a single malt, a blended malt, and then a blended Scotch. What does that mean to you? What goes into making it? And it's going to be a fun conversation because like we talked about earlier, there's so much that goes into a Scotch.
Yeah, we're really excited about that one. All right. Okay, guys. Well, all right. Thanks all the spirits out there for joining us tonight.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we really we would certainly love to get the feedback from you guys, and we're certainly looking for what you guys think, and and turn us on to something that you're grooving on.
And if you try one of these, let us know what you think. If you think we're absolutely nuts or out of our minds, tell us that too. We hear it on the regular. We're both married.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right, very good. All right, thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us, and
Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Take care, guys.